This brother and sister became the youngest kids in US history to be convicted of first-degree murder. This is Catherine and Curtis, and they're from Alabama. Catherine's just a year older than Curtis, and they both grew up in a really chaotic household. When their mum was pregnant with Catherine, their dad's abuse was so brutal it caused her uterus to tear. Catherine had to be born prematurely. When the kids were toddlers, their mum finally escaped her abuser, but she left Catherine and Curtis behind with their father. Later, a male relative of their dad moved in, and that's when things got even worse. This man started to SA 5-year-old Catherine. It happened nearly every day for years, and she tried to tell her dad, but he didn't believe her. But her younger brother Curtis did, because the same man was abusing him. Over the years, CPS was called 3 separate times to investigate allegations of physical abuse and SA, but every time their dad defended his relative and called his kids liars. Even after the news came out that this man had a long history of abusing children, including accusations from a previous relationship, CPS still dropped the investigation. By 1999, Catherine and Curtis were 13 and 12, living with their dad, his relative, and new girlfriend. She allegedly knew about the abuse and did nothing. At that point, these kids had been abused for almost a decade. They'd had enough. Catherine told her brother she wanted to kill everyone who had hurt them or allowed it to happen. That's when they grabbed their dad's gun and shot his girlfriend. She tried to get up and call the police, but Catherine took the phone and stopped her. She died shortly after. Panicked, Catherine and Curtis wiped their fingerprints off the weapon, then called 911 and claimed it was an accident. Then they ran. They were arrested the next day and charged with first-degree murder. Prosecutors decided to try them as adults. That made them the youngest children ever to be tried as adults for first-degree murder in US history. When arrested, they both tried to take full responsibility for the murder to protect the other. Catherine was even offered a plea deal to testify against Curtis, but she refused. Eventually, both were sentenced to 18 years in adult prison, and after their release, they would both be in probation for the rest of their life. Because Catherine was so young, they put her in solitary confinement for 3 years for her own safety. In 2016, Catherine was released at age 30. She's now a wife, a mother, and a vocal advocate for victims and fair sentencing for juvenile offenders. Curtis was released in 2017. He's now an ordained minister. Both have said their life in jail was much better than living with their monster father. Now, the public is still divided. Some say Catherine and Curtis were cold-blooded killers. Others believe they were deeply failed by their family and the system, and that if they were white, they would have been prosecuted differently. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.